Today, we're going on a journey back in time to explore the origins of Islam. We're going to look at how a single man living in the Arabian Peninsula started a faith that would, quite literally, go on to shape the world.
So that's the big question we're really diving into here. How does one person's experience, one core idea, launch a movement that ripples through centuries of history? Let's find out.
Okay, so our story starts with a man named Muhammad in the city of Mecca. Now, long before he was known as a prophet, he was a merchant, just an ordinary man living in what was a pretty extraordinary time and place.
Muhammad was born around the year 570. He had a tough start. He was orphaned when he was young and was raised by his grandfather and then his uncle. But as a young man, he made a name for himself as a merchant, building this incredible reputation for being honest and trustworthy. And that quality, that honesty, is going to be really central to his whole life. You have to picture Mecca back then. It was a super busy hub for trade, but it was also a major religious center. You had all these different tribes coming through, and each one pretty much worshipped its own set of gods and idols. Amidst all this hustle and bustle, Muhammad would often go off by himself to think, really troubled by some of the inequality he saw and the big spiritual questions of his day.
And it was during one of these quiet moments of reflection that something happened. Something that would change not just his life, but the course of world history.
According to Islamic tradition, in the year 610, Muhammad was meditating in a cave on Mount Hira when he had this incredibly powerful experience. He believed that the angel Gabriel appeared to him, delivering a message directly from God. Now, this wasn't just a one-time thing. It was the first of many revelations that he would receive over the next 23 years. His followers were incredibly careful to memorize these messages, which were eventually collected and written down to become the holy book of Islam, the Quran.
So, what was this revolutionary message? Well, it was actually incredibly simple, but also really profound. Muhammad began to teach that there was only one God, a single, all-powerful creator of everything.
There's a specific term for this idea, and it's a really important one: monotheism. It's the belief in just one God, and it became the absolute bedrock of the new faith he was preaching. You have to understand, this was a massive change from what people were used to. The common practice in Mecca was polytheism, the worship of many, many gods. So this new message of just one God, well, it challenged the entire social and religious structure of their society. And as you can probably guess, an idea this revolutionary wasn't welcomed by everyone. In fact, it created a lot of tension with the powerful leaders in Mecca, and that conflict would eventually lead to a truly historic journey. The powerful figures in Mecca saw this new faith as a huge threat. For one, they were worried about losing all the money that came from pilgrims visiting the city to worship their idols. They also really didn't like the message of social equality because it totally undermined the traditional social order they were in charge of. The situation got worse and worse. The first Muslims faced constant ridicule and eventually real physical danger. It became pretty clear pretty quickly that it just wasn't safe for them to stay in Mecca anymore. So, in the year 622, they made the incredibly difficult decision to leave. The whole community journeyed about 280 miles north, a really long and dangerous trip through the desert, to a new city. This migration is known as the Hijra, and it wasn't just about moving to a new place. It was the fundamental turning point for this new community. The Hijra is so important, in fact, that it marks year 1 of the Islamic calendar. So now, in their new home, the city of Medina, this small group had the chance to really build a community from the ground up, organized around the principles of their new faith. In Medina, Muhammad's role really grew. He wasn't just a spiritual guide, he was also a political leader. He helped bring different groups together, even creating a document known as the Constitution of Medina, which guaranteed rights and protection for everyone in the city, no matter their tribe or religion. It was also here in Medina that the core practices of Islam were really solidified. These are known as the 5 pillars, and they give a clear framework for a Muslim's life. They cover everything from faith and daily prayer to charity, fasting, and making a pilgrimage to Mecca. All right, so let's fast forward a few years. After a period of conflict with Mecca, the tables had turned. And in the year 630, Muhammad and his followers were able to return to their home city. And they did so peacefully, not seeking revenge. One of the very first things he did was go to the Kaaba, that cube-shaped building at the heart of the city. He cleared out all the idols that were inside and rededicated the ancient structure to the worship of the one God. It was a hugely symbolic moment, and it remains the holiest site in Islam today. And that brings us to the final chapter of his life. But really, it's the beginning of the incredible legacy he left behind, a message that continues to inspire people all over the world. Shortly before he died in 632, Muhammad delivered a final sermon, and in it was a message that's at the very core of his faith, this incredibly powerful call for unity and equality among all people.
So that message that began with one man in a cave, it spread, and it spread fast. Today, Islam is the faith of more than 1 billion people around the globe, making it one of the largest religions on earth. And that brings us right back to our original question. From a merchant in Mecca to a global faith, the story of Islam's beginning is a pretty amazing example of how a single idea can truly change the world. It really makes you wonder, what is it that gives a message that kind of lasting power?